Hi, I'm Michael, and this is Carelifornia. And it seems like the process for negotiating for the next stimulus bill has not only stopped, but it's begun to reverse. Both sides start to move farther and farther apart as we are just one day away from Congress's August recess. This comes at a time when millions of Americans are struggling to pay the rent and put food on the table. All the while, an agreement could be farther and farther away. So tonight we're going to go over if the Democratic strategy for standing strong and not budging on protections is actually the right thing to do. Also, the signs that the unemployment crisis in California is getting worse, and one possibility that might save people on unemployment in the not so distant future. Now this is your 5-minute nightly dose. So let's make this quick. But before we do that, if you like this information, if you find it interesting, if you find it helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. One of the biggest stumbling blocks on the whole negotiation is unemployment benefits. Under the CARES Act, anybody who was unemployed was actually able to get an additional $600 a week added on top of their regular unemployment benefits. But this was only temporary, and the benefit lasted up until the end of July when it ended. Now, Democrats and Republicans are going round and round with each other over whether or not to include the additional $600 additional benefits in the next stimulus package. Now, up to this point, Democrats have had the upper hand. By sticking to their demands for that $600 or bust, they have really put the screws on Republicans in these negotiations. And it's really been working. Republicans went from never would they ever to, all right, okay, 70% of pre-pandemic income to then 100% of pre-pandemic income to $200 per week plus unemployment benefits. And then final offer, take it or leave it. You're never going to get anything better, $400 per week plus unemployment benefits. So the Democratic negotiating strategy has worked, but how long can they realistically hold out while Americans are suffering? It makes sense when the counteroffer from the Republicans was so low that nobody could survive, but as Republicans cave and the offer gets closer and closer to $600, does it still make sense to keep holding out? I mean, this game of political chicken, it's gotta end somewhere, because each day that there isn't a stimulus package, more and more people go over that fiscal cliff of no return. Now, I don't know where the blinking point is, but what I can say is there's not much more time left between when people start seeing Democrats as saviors versus when they start seeing them as the cause of their suffering. And if this keeps up and they keep holding out, they may lose a lot of the negotiating position they have worked so hard to gain. This is all happening to the backdrop of the sound of workers en masse going back on unemployment, especially here in California. With the Governor Gavin Newsom reclosing bars, restaurants, wineries, and entertainment venues, 140,000 people who have filed for unemployment in July are actually returning to unemployment benefits after first being laid off, then rehired, only to be laid off again. This represents about 57% of the current people who are on unemployment in California. But this is not unique to California. Texas, Arizona, Florida have all reimposed lockdown measures because of the spikes in the pandemic. This has caused an increase of 1.6 million people to file for new unemployment claims, according to the Department of Labor, putting us in 20 weeks in a row where more than 1 million people have applied for new unemployment claims. So needless to say, there are people out there who are in drastic need of these extra unemployment benefits, in addition to eviction protections and increased food benefits, all of which are still being held up by Congress. Lastly, if we're really digging deep to find a silver lining in this whole messy situation, some experts like Stephen Wandener, a senior fellow at the National Academy of Social Insurance, suggest that it is possible that whenever Congress does pass the next stimulus package, the unemployment benefits lost during this interim timeframe could be paid back retroactively. He says, I would expect that it would be retroactive and that state unemployment insurance agencies will have to pay people for the missed weeks. Now, this is at least a little positive news considering the fact that Mitch McConnell announced that he plans to let senators leave and go on recess next week until an agreement is reached, which is not such good news for all of us hoping for a final bill by the end of this week. Reflecting on all this, it sure makes me happy that I am not a member of Congress. I can only imagine the internal conflict that they must be going through, feeling the pressure from all those people who are hanging on as long as they can until the next round of stimulus checks can come out, as well as their own internal morality and having to figure out how to spin this to a positive come this next election season. You know, I don't know when the right time for Democrats to make a deal is, and maybe they should hold out until they get every single thing that they want. But I just can't shake the idea that every day that goes by, more and more people get to a point in their lives that are irreversibly changed because they're not getting the support that they need. This has been your 5-minute nightly dose, and I hope that you found it interesting or helpful or at least useful. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Also, we here at Carelifornia, we know health insurance. So if you have any questions about your health insurance, leave those down below. We'll be happy to make a new video or a new post as soon as we can. Now, other than that, I'm Michael, and this is Carelifornia, wishing you a happy, healthy night.